The easiest way to scale this business is just rinse and repeat. Really,
Okay.
once you know how to do this successfully with one product, it's a matter of doing it over and over. And the scalability is limiting on yourself, your time to put into it, and the amount of money that you have to keep making sure that things keep rolling. I know actually mastermind with a few people right now that are doing between 20 and 30 million a year in their business.
This is The Fighting Entrepreneur, the podcast dedicated to entrepreneurs looking to change the world. Learn how to start, build, and scale a business in today's highly competitive business environment. Here's your host, The Fighting Entrepreneur, Anik Singal.
What's up, you crazy fighting entrepreneurs? Welcome back to The Fighting Entrepreneur with yet another episode with someone that, I gotta tell you, is one of my favorite people in the world. And he's freaking brilliant, and he's gonna talk about something I don't know crap about. And so we're gonna have a good time, and I bet you even you don't know about it. It's an entire new type of business. Well, it's not new, but it's new to me and might be new to you. And we're gonna talk to him about that. But before we even get into this, listen, we're going to talk about Amazon today. We're going to talk about building a business on Amazon, the strategies, the know-hows, the how to do it. And our guest, Dave Kettner, who I'll introduce in a second, is actually launching an amazing course right on our platform to help all of you do that. So let's take a quick little break. I just want you to hear a little bit about it.
Hey everyone, my name is Joe, and I'm the producer of the Fighting Entrepreneur podcast. So listen, you have the chance to get a free bootcamp all about Amazon and making money on Amazon. All you have to do is head over to lurn.com/physical. Trust me, if you like the information you're hearing on this podcast, you're going to love the information and the content that we're going to give you there. So go over to lurn.com/physical today.
All right, welcome back. So Dave, thank you so much for being here, man. You are awesome, and I'm so glad you're actually here. You're at the Lurn Center. You flew in all the way from Arizona. You fought the cold to be here.
I left, it was 75 degrees. I show up here, it's under 30. You got me here, though.
I got to tell you, that shows me how much you love me, and I appreciate that.
Definitely.
Dave has done over $8 million in sales on Amazon. That is amazing. And I got to tell you, I think one of the best things about it is your story. It's where you come from. I think a lot of people would love to hear that. And I find the more we talk, the more I get to learn from you about the Amazon business model. It is very different than kind of the other types of models out there. There's a simplification to it, which is so magical. And then there's just kind of that automation to it, which I really find so magical. So just to give everybody a little bit background, we don't like to do too much fluff, but a little bit background. Dave and I met now, I don't know how many years ago, 6, 7, 5?
Something like that.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
It's been a while since
Yeah.
we've known each other for a long time.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
Definitely. I've been following you for way longer than that, but friends, definitely 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah, and it was at an event randomly. I think we were going up in the elevator and said hi, hello to one another. And then, as fate would have it, we started getting connected by multiple parties, and multiple people would say, hey, you should, I know that question. Like, you should ask Dave. I'm like, God, yeah, I know that guy. And so eventually we really hit it off. We talked more. We became good friends. And I think that if I was to say, your credibility, of course, you've done a lot on Amazon. You're full-time on Amazon. You've been doing this full-time for a long time. But I think if there's ever anything, one thing I could say to add to your credibility, and I think everyone listening would relate, there was a moment years ago where my wife wanted to look into starting an Amazon business. And when she came to me, I didn't know crap about it. I'm like, why can't you do the one thing I know? You have to do the one thing I don't. But the first person I called, I texted you right away. I said, can you please get on a call with my wife and walk her through this? So think about that. This is the same person that I sent my own wife to, saying this is the most trusted person I can think of for this business model. And I think that's really the story I wanted to share. So thank you for helping her. Thank you for always being so awesome.
Pleasure, yeah.
You're a super genuine guy. You're down to earth. I love that about you. And so just want to say hats off, man. Thanks for being
Thank
here.
you.
All right.
I appreciate all its accolades. I
Well,
hope I can live up to that.
Now that all the singing Kumbaya is over, shall we get to grilling you?
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's do
So what I want to do real quick is I want to dive right into rapid fire, first round. And so let's start. Okay, Dave, how long have you been selling on Amazon?
So it's about 5.5 years. Well, 5.5 years in this business. I've been doing it since 2009.
Oh,
But
okay.
but
All
not the right model. For the right model, 5.5 years.
5.5 years. How much in total sales have you had? I kind of revealed that number.
Yeah, a little over 8 million now.
All right. What % profit of that 8 million? What do you usually run?
We try to run over 35% at minimum, but I will be honest with you, when I first started this business, it wasn't as high, but now we definitely strive to be closer
Where
to
did you
40%.
start?
Well, I was in a really difficult market, but I would
Okay.
say I was in the upper teens at that time.
You're still profitable. That's a
Definitely.
win.
Oh, definitely profitable.
How many people would you estimate you've successfully taught Amazon to?
Wow. It's hard to know exactly, but it's in the thousands.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, you're in good hands if you're listening. Thousands of people have learned, and I've actually had the honor of seeing some of the stories and testimonials and what people say about what you've done for their lives. It's so powerful. Are you gonna blow everyone's minds today?
Well, I hope so. That's why we're here, right?
All right.
Yeah.
You know what? We actually forgot to do the biggest part, the most important part of the Fighting Entrepreneur podcast. I need you to raise your right hand.
Oh,
for me.
yep, sure.
All right. The oath of an entrepreneur. I, Dave Kettner,
I, Dave Kettner,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to reveal everything about Amazon
to reveal everything about Amazon
and not hold anything back,
and not hold anything back.
and to tell the truth and nothing but the truth.
And definitely tell the truth. nothing but the
Sweet. All right. We're officially out of round one. Let's move on to round number 2. Okay, Dave. So explain this at a high level. 8 million in sales using Amazon. What's the deal? What do you do? How does it work?
Well, if we kind of look at the big side of things, I mean, it's going to obviously be so much more to it, right? But the outside picture, looking in, the big picture of everything is we need to first find stuff that's selling well on Amazon. We don't want to recreate the wheel, right? So we find things that are doing well. Then we want to actually create a product that's similar but actually better. We find a way to make it better, right? And then we want to make it our own. So we find manufacturers out there that we can actually go create this, make it better. We make it our own. We make our own brand, and then we use Amazon's, all that the people, all the customers that are coming there to then sell it to those people.
Okay, got it. So let's step like one level even higher. And so I'll summarize. You correct me if I did it correctly. So here's what I took away from everything I've learned from you. Basically, Amazon's got tons of products, millions of brands. You go out, you find a product that could sell or is selling on Amazon, and you create a private label of it, which is your product with your brand attached to it. But you don't have to invent the product. You don't have to go through, all the invention process. There's people manufacturing it in China. You just ask them to stick your logo on it.
Well, does it have to be China? It could be anywhere.
Okay, it could be
It just
anywhere.
happens to be
Okay.
there are a lot in China, but
Yeah.
that is exactly correct. Yeah, it's private labeling, so we actually do then own that product ourselves.
Okay. So right when I hear that, if I'm listening, the first thought that comes to my head is, do I need tens of thousands of dollars to even start this? Because physical product, China, manufacturing sounds expensive.
It sounds expensive. Yeah, but it's not actually. It's it depends what you consider what expensive is, obviously, right?
Okay.
But not anywhere close to tens of thousands of dollars. We usually our very first product that we started with $500 up front is all we did.
$500.
500. I would not suggest going over 1,000 for your first order. So we
Okay.
keep it 1,000 or less. So
I mean, most of your brand new students you're teaching, you also, again, it's $500 to $1,000
Exactly.
up front. And that's inventory investment.
Correct.
Because in the Amazon model, you do have to. So everyone's out there talking about drop shipping a lot lately with like Shopify and e-com, where the big story, the big hook is, hey, you don't have to buy any inventory. The only catch with the Amazon model is you have to get inventory and you have to stock it.
the initial inventory, yes, you're always going to own that product, right?
Yeah.
But to get started, we don't need to put all that, so much investment up front.
Got it.
But it is, what it is. We're actually taking money, we're buying something with it. It's an investment, really, what this business is, and then
Okay.
it just continues to grow as you grow.
Okay, awesome. Now, if you're listening and you're thinking, what's going on? How do I find this product? What kind of product works? Trust me, that's what this entire podcast is about. Plus, if you go to lurn.com/physical, LURN.com physical, we've got a free boot camp coming out, a free workshop coming out. I mean, we are going to dive deep into Dave's mind. This is just like a teaser. This is a trailer. All right, so we got all your questions. Trust me, I know them because I had them. My wife had them. Everyone I know who's done Amazon had them, and Dave was the person that answered them. So we're gonna get to all of them. So that's the overall business model. Now, what kinds of products work if I'm gonna private label? Like, what kinds of things work? What kinds of things don't?
It's a good question. So there's obviously a lot of products that are out there, right? We don't want to do products that are well branded already. So there's big companies that are selling things like toilet paper, for example. We're not going to private label a toilet paper. Maybe there's things out there like I don't know, appliances, too big. There's different things that are going to be out a size, right? But anything there's a big name to it, we don't want to be doing it. We want to do things that, if you buy something, is it brand driven, or is it something that you're actually just looking for the actual keyword of that product, right? So for example, maybe it's like this mug here. When you're going to look for a mug, are you looking for a particular name of this mug? Or are you just looking for, blue mug or coffee mug?
True.
Right? More
Yeah,
generic.
I don't know a big brand name. Like, I wouldn't go search for a brand name.
Correct.
For a
Now,
mug,
I'm
yeah.
not saying that this is a good product opportunity.
Disclaimer.
All right. All right. Not saying
Disclaimer.
that. Just trying to
Okay.
give an example. So
Got it.
we try to stay things that are smaller, light in size, smaller in size, lighter in weight. It just makes it easier on the shipping and everything else. Don't get me wrong. There's other business models where we can do bigger products, but for what we're going to be teaching in this course, it's all about doing light and small.
Okay.
We try to keep it within a price range to make it affordable. So the wholesale price is on the affordable side, keeping it under that 1,000 that we're talking about.
Okay.
Things that obviously you mentioned already has to be able to be private labeled. We have to be able to work with a manufacturer that's willing to put our brand name on it, so we own it.
Okay.
Those are some important aspects.
So we're going to get into some of the specifics, by the way, because I know you've got specific rules when it comes to weight and price and all of those. So we'll talk about those in a couple of rounds. But any categories, types of products? I saw, so I heard this, I think it was 2 days ago when Andrea walked in and she asked you a question. She said, hey, I'm trying to find something for my friend, clothes. And you went, like you made a face. So that told me that might be a category you don't really recommend. So are there overall categories that you highly recommend and categories you do not recommend?
Definitely. We have about 20 categories that we recommend.
Okay.
And it's not that clothing is bad. It's just that there's better ones that are out there.
Okay.
Right? So Amazon does have certain ones that are called gated, which means that we have to actually apply to get into them. So as a brand new seller, it might be harder to get into. But to give you, throw some stuff out there, I mean, anything like in the kitchen niche, the pet niche, things that are, games, sports and activities, even, health and beauty stuff that's out there. Those are, they're going to be categories that we recommend that are easier to get into, that are not, you don't have to apply to get into with Amazon.
Sure.
And there's a lot of opportunities in those different categories.
And what about ones we would stay away from? Like, what about electronics?
That's a good question. So there are going to be some in electronics, but think of more like computers. How about that?
Okay.
There's things with computers that they're going to be brand-driven stuff, right?
Okay.
Now, if there's accessories within them, then we might have some opportunity there,
Okay.
right? But I tend to stay away from things that are more complicated. Electronics. You said electronics. Things that are that require any kind of electricity. We might, there's going to be opportunities, but there's good things. There's other opportunities that are out there. We don't have to worry about electricity or batteries and that sort of thing.
Got it.
So there's definitely more specifics we get into with the course, but anything like appliances, not only is big, but they're brand driven.
Okay.
People are looking for Kenmore. They're looking for different names that you're going to go after, right?
They're also big, bulky, heavy, expensive. I mean, they'll violate some of the rules you'll go over in a couple of rounds.
Definitely.
What about, so there's this huge uptick right now in the supplement world. People
Sure.
are launching supplements on everything.
Yes.
And it's kind of annoying actually because they're all coming from the same place, and I can't even trust now whether they're good quality or not. But
Sure.
maybe I have a personal bias. Do supplements work on Amazon though?
The supplements do work.
Okay.
It is definitely a more expensive area to get into.
Okay.
So I would.
So it's competitive.
It is very competitive. There is going to be, again, there's going to be opportunities that are out there that we can say, hey, is this something worth going after? If it is, how much is it going to cost to go after that niche, right? So there's going to be times where we can look at something and say, wow, there's quite the opportunity here. But the purse on that might cost you tens of thousands of dollars to make it happen, right? So we can get into that, after, kind of teaching people to get started, but I wouldn't recommend it right up front.
Got it. Start simple. Start with a small product. Learn it. Master it. Get the cash flow coming. Then do something more complicated.
Now, with that said, if people that we're talking to, they already have a line of supplements, different story.
Okay.
Right, because then they can go through and they already they're building their brand, that sort of thing.
So it's not a no-go.
Correct.
It's just maybe go, depending on the scenario.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jewelry?
Jewelry is sometimes with jewelry, but if you think of jewelry, there's a lot of different variations, a lot of different styles with that, right? So it isn't quite the niche that we're going to be focusing on in this course. Think of it, you want to have things that you can duplicate over and over again, right? And not have as many variants. And if you have a lot of variants, it's going to be more inventory up front.
Got it.
So even when we're talking about the mug here, you're going to have all these different colors, different designs. The more you have, the more you have to market, the more you're going to have upfront supply of it as well.
So what about digital products? I got courses. Can I sell courses on Amazon using your strategy and crush it, or not really?
Not the way we're teaching it.
Okay.
Yeah, no, because we're talking about physical products here.
It's called lurn.com/physical.
That's right.
Not digital.
That's right.
I
So
got it.
is there a way of doing it? Yeah. The way we're teaching this here, not so much.
Okay. All right. Brilliant. That was awesome. So let's close this round up. Let's move into round number 3, which is building the actual business. All right, round number 3, building the business. You've told me again and again 5 steps to building a Amazon physical business. Can you go over those 5 steps with us?
Sure, definitely. Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to find a product opportunity, right? So we go in there, we find, like we said before, we find products that are already selling, and then with the ones that could be private labeled, all the criteria and everything like that. So step 1, find the product. After that, step 2 is going to be we need to source that product. So we need to find a manufacturer that we can go and create this product opportunity, make it our own, put our own brand on, that sort of thing. So that's going to be step 2. Step number 3 is we're going to want to build the brand assets around it. Right, so we're building our brand new brand, whether it is something that we're building off of or just starting, brand new.
Okay.
We have to build that presence. Is what again we own, and so it could be totally around something new, for the first time that we're building. Just building that around there, we're taking ownership of.
Give me an example of an asset.
An asset would be the well. First of all, we got to come up with a name.
Okay.
Right, and then we are gonna trademark that name. We first want to make sure that something is going to sell well, but we are going to trademark because we own that name. We don't want to start selling something where then someone can come on Amazon or wherever we're selling and they say, "Wow, look at this, they're killing it," and then we don't own that name. They can come steal it from us.
Okay,
right?
so we'll talk about. I want to make a note. I want to
Sure.
talk about that because that's interesting. The word trademark always scares people, so we will dive into that.
Sure.
So name, logo.
Right, and you asked to answer more
Yeah,
of that question, the packaging of it, the assets of the, when we're actually building the content on Amazon so we can actually market to the product page, all that stuff are the brand assets.
Pictures.
Yes.
And all of that.
Exactly.
Okay, great. So that was step number 3.
was
Sorry,
3.
I cut you off.
No
Number
problem.
4?
Step 4 is going to be down. This is where the whole launch and marketing comes in, right? So there's tons of things that we need to do on our side as a marketer to get our product in front of those customers, right? Because if we just put something on Amazon, doesn't mean that people are going to find it, right? So there's ways that we do things to put it out there so they can see it and eventually get things selling well.
It's funny you mentioned that. We didn't even really get into this. I feel like we should have gotten into this early on. So just thinking to myself, Joe, here, I think we should at the end of this do like a little snippet and pop it into the beginning of it, which is just like Amazon details, like numbers. Amazon, you said something like if you just put it up on Amazon, that doesn't mean people are going to find it. How many sellers are on Amazon right now?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know totally the answer to that.
But it's like
it's in the
tens of
millions.
thousands, or it's in the millions.
I believe it's a couple million.
Wow.
And it's being, there is, I don't quote me on this, but I think it's something like 100,000 new ones a month even. It's a lot. It's a lot.
So that, just imagine if there's that many sellers, how many products there are. So yeah, you build it and they will come does not apply to Amazon.
It used to be
Yeah.
back in the day.
Yeah.
When I started this business in 2009, I just threw some products up there and
Back in
started
the
selling.
good old days.
Back in the good old days,
All the
right?
good old days.
But no, now you have to actually do some work. You have to know what you're doing, and it will become harder and harder for those people that are not educated on how to do these things.
And
happen.
Amazon right now, you told me this yesterday, it's at 5% of total retail.
Now, 5% retail across the entire U.S. market. That includes off and online.
It's nuts. So 5% of retail transactions happening right now
Are all on Amazon.
are all on Amazon. It's
Right.
projected to go to 15.
Yeah, and
in the next couple
50%, I
years.
believe the numbers are 50% of all online sales are transacting on Amazon.
How much?
50% in the United States.
50.
50%. And growing.
Woo.
And growing.
So entrepreneurs, if you're not on Amazon, think about it. It's just dumb. Because if that's where 50% of transactions are, I'm not, so I'm dumb. So there you go. Like, I'm not on Amazon. Shoot. I just spoke to myself there. All right.
To-do list. Put on your list down there. Things to do
To-do
there.
list must get on Amazon. Maybe my wife was on to something, man, a few years ago. All right. Step 1 was find a product. Step 2 was source. Step 3 is brand asset. Step 4, launch and market. Step 5.
Step 5 is scaling, right? When it really comes down the whole process here, it's repeating that over and over again. That's the biggest way to scale things, right? So you learn the process of how to do this with one product. You do it over and over. Now, whether it's within that same brand that you built, you can expand on different things that are within that same line or going into whole different new product opportunity lines.
Got it.
But the more that you can do this over and over again, the more you're going to scale your revenue.
Man, that is so awesome. I'm going to avoid asking a ton of questions about each of these right now because that's what the next rounds are about, but I'm dying to ask. So what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the next round. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick little commercial break. I want to tell you a little bit more about something awesome coming up at Lurn called Physical Profits. And I'm telling you right now, mark your calendar, mark your date, mark your schedule, mark everything. You're going to want to be in on it. So let's take a second to hear about that, and we'll be right back with round number 4.
Hey everyone, Joe again. Just wanted to let you know that you have the opportunity to get a free boot camp all about how to make money on Amazon, as well as getting free access to a workshop hosted by Dave Kettner himself. In this workshop, we are going to blow up the business model. We are going to show you how to start, how to plan, how to do the whole shebang. And that is all over on learn.com/physical. Now, Dave does have a course coming out as well in the Learn Nation platform, but we want you to get all the free stuff that you can right now and see if you like it, Take all the free stuff you can, learn from it, see if you like it, and if you do, consider maybe getting Dave's course in the Learn Nation platform. Go to learn.com/physical today to do that.
All right, we're back. Round number 4. I'm excited about this one. Finding the product. Let's talk about this. Teach me. I want to find a product because I just declared I'm stupid. I'm not on Amazon. 50% of people in the U.S. are on Amazon. I want to be on Amazon. Find me a product. What do I do?
So the first thing we want to do is we want to go to Amazon itself, right? So we go into Amazon and we want to see what the numbers look like. Now, there's a lot of specifics here to find out, how products are ranking, that sort of thing. But the easiest way to explain it to you is put a keyword into Amazon.
Okay.
Right? Put a keyword into Amazon, see what comes up, and the ones that are coming up for some important keywords that is a big keyword, obviously they're selling well, right? There's ways that we can go through that I'm not going to get into detail here with you, but there's ways to find out and get an idea of how many those products or how much they're selling a month, and the numbers are quite mind-boggling, some of these things.
But why aren't you going to get into the details? I want the details. That's what I want. Give me a little bit.
All right, tell you what, throw out a keyword then.
So, baby products.
Be more specific.
Okay.
So like something in baby.
Pacifier?
That's okay. Baby pacifier.
Okay.
So we put baby pacifier into Amazon, and then
What are you
obviously
laughing about,
all
man?
the things are going to come up there. So
Joe's having a hard
Maybe he
baby
has-
pacifier.
maybe there's something you want to tell us about. You want to break us some news here.
I
all right.
don't actually. I have no idea why.
All right. Okay. Anyway, baby pacifier. So
This just got really awkward.
So baby
I'm not
pacifier.
having a baby right
That's
now.
fine.
It's okay.
Well, you sound a little defensive. But that's okay. Anyway,
Baby pacifier. Let's go. I want to sell them, not have them.
So we see what comes up.
All right.
Right now, we want to avoid the sponsored ads because people are paying to put those ads there. Right.
Okay.
I want to look at what's coming up at the organic results, and by organic, it just means that Amazon finds they're finding that these products, for some reason, they're more important than others.
Okay.
The ones that are coming up for a big keyword like that are going to be selling really well. Now, there's a thing called bestseller rank, or BSR for short.
Okay.
And it gives us an idea of how many different products or what the rank is in that category of baby. That would be baby.
Okay.
All right. And the higher that number is, the more they're selling.
Okay.
All right. So let's say I don't have a computer in front of me right now.
Sure.
But I'm sure that number is going to be pretty high. And more than likely, baby pacifiers, the people that are ranking well for those, are probably doing over $100,000 a month in sales just for that one product.
So basically, you find product or products in that, after you type the keyword in, you click on some of the top ones, not the sponsored, the organic, and you scroll about halfway down the page, and there is a best-selling ranking there. It ranks them in the category.
So there's a couple things you said there. First of all, if you want to see the bestseller rank, unless you have a software tool that's telling you kind of like a Chrome app or something like that, you have to go into the product listing to see what those best-selling rankings are.
Is there a Chrome app that tells this?
There is.
Okay.
There is. Actually, one of the ones I use, I think it's called DS Amazon.
DS
And
Amazon.
It just actually, we can go through there and it'll, in the search results, give us an idea of what those BSR listings are, BSR bestseller rank.
Awesome.
All right.
All right.
But that tells us what they're selling. That's not the best way to find the product, because some of those products that are coming up, if you think about baby pacifier, and you think about, there's probably some big brands there. There's probably people that have been doing this for many years. Not really the area that we want to go after.
Okay.
All right.
So let's talk about, is there a tool? I know there's tools that are paid tools, but is there one that you kind of recommend that people, if they're willing to spend some money, that will help them with their research for finding a product?
Yeah, actually, there's a tool that I recommend. It's called Helium 10.
Okay.
Right. I actually have different ways of giving people discounts too. So I don't know if people should run out there and grab that right now.
Okay.
But we can actually utilize that to find different product opportunities within criteria that we're looking for. So
Tell you what, why don't we give everyone a discount to it in the show notes? Are you cool with that?
that sounds good to me.
All right, anikpodcast.com, ANIK podcast.com. You see how you like that? You like how I threw in the show notes promo there? Yeah. But you know what we'll do? We'll grab Dave's discount link and pop it in there. If you guys are interested, you can grab it and go over to Helium 10. Sorry,
Nice.
you were saying.
No,
Yeah.
hey, that's a great idea because it's going to save them money, so they might as well take advantage of it.
Yeah.
But they have tons of different tools, and that I teach to utilize those to make life a lot easier. Because if you're having to go into Amazon and manually search for these product opportunities, it's going to take you a lot of work, a lot of time.
I will say this. I actually witnessed him doing it, and it is a pretty cool tool. And there's a lot of a lot of really easy, simplified ways. There's a lot of training in there too, so they teach you like how to use the tool. There are rules that you've talked to me before about weight and price range of product, and give us some of the metrics. So if someone's starting their search, it's not just BSR. There's some other things that you recommend to people as far as, stay within these parameters, especially when they're brand new.
Yeah, well, we just talked about BSR, so let me just mention something there before we go on to the other ones.
Oh, please, yeah, go ahead.
So I want to make sure that we don't go after niches or products that are they're doing so well, and you look at it like, wow, I want to be a part of that, but it's going to be so hard to get into, right?
Okay.
So we try to stay away from the top 1,000. Right, the top 1,000 in any major category is going to be very difficult to get into.
Top 1,000 per category, not Amazon altogether.
Correct.
Okay.
Right. So like you said, baby before.
Yeah.
So I would stay away from anything underneath the 1,000 of baby. Okay.
Okay.
So one of the criteria is I'm going to be looking above 1,000.
Okay.
And usually what I say is I'll look through between BSR of 1,000 to 10,000.
Okay.
There's a lot of opportunities within that range.
Okay.
Okay. We can even go outside of the 10,000.
Okay.
But once we come inside of 10,000, it becomes very competitive.
Okay.
With that said, there's going to be a few outliers probably, but let's stay between the 1,000, 10,000. Okay. That would be the first criteria.
All right.
Because now we know that we can find things that are making some good revenue on Amazon, but won't be as hard to get into.
Got it.
That's going to be the criteria, one of the things. We try to stick within a selling price range of around $20 on the low end to about $50 on the high end. Now, the main reason for that is, first of all, there is a lot of product opportunities within that range, but the main reason is that we don't have as much capital up front. Because if something's selling for $20 on Amazon, I could usually get it sourced for between $3 and $4.
I was just going to ask you that. What? Because you said selling price.
Yes.
What does it equate back to? That's what a 7x times. Does that stand true?
Usually what I put to that number is going to be landed price. So I'm not including shipping on that.
Okay.
So what we try to do in our business is we try to do anywhere between a 3x to 5x, and that is the landed price that we can get it to here in Amazon to the selling price. So, for example, if we had a $5 landed price and I could sell it for 20, that's a 4x. Right? There's going to be some good margins in there.
Got it. I want to come back to this topic of landed price, so I'm going to put that down here.
Sure, definitely.
Okay, so you got $20 to $50
Right.
selling price is one of your metrics.
We mentioned before things that are light and in weight and maybe a little smaller in size. And that's just going to be helping us with shipping. So when we're getting it from our supplier, if we are supplying from China, for example, you mentioned before, then we're going to have to ship it overseas, right?
Okay.
Whether we're doing it by air or by sea, it's going to have some price involved the bigger it is and heavier it is.
Got it.
Right? So we try to stay within a weight of 2 pounds. Is there opportunities above 2 pounds? Of course there is. But to get started in this business, if we stay lower, our costs are going to be lower.
What about size?
Yeah, size is a good question. So we want to stay out of an oversized range in Amazon. So I think if the longest, I'm trying to think what the metrics are. I'm not sure exactly, but I think it's 8 inches, right? If there is a product there's no shorter size than 8 inches, you're going to be in an oversized category. And it goes by the full area of whatever the product is.
The 8 inch by 8 inch? Is that like the
No,
box?
it's just going to be one size.
Okay.
One side of it. So if there isn't one side that's less than 8 inch, and I'd have to research this to check and make sure.
Okay.
But there are ways we can put it in Amazon. It'll tell us that it's, if you're getting flagged for oversized, it's going to be a lot more expensive on the storage side on Amazon. All right. So we want to be careful on that too.
Okay.
So there is going to be so many opportunities that are lighter, smaller in size that meets these criteria. It's going to, we don't have to go over that.
Okay.
All right.
Got it.
Again, there's plenty of people I know that are doing great outside those margins, but to start, it's just best to stay within that.
Okay. Awesome.
Of course,
wow.
and another one would be categories we mentioned before. So within those recommended categories.
Within the recommended categories.
Right?
Yeah.
I tried it, and just a little extra, I guess, to throw it out there. I try to say things that are away from things that are going to be more complicated.
Okay.
If something is easy to break, glass, ceramic, there's no reason for me to go into those categories or those products because there's plenty of products that won't have those issues.
Unnecessary risk.
Right. Things that are, like I mentioned before, electric. If we have something that is maybe specific for electricity in the United States, but then you're going to expand to Europe, then you might have an issue, right? If things are more complicated with pieces, putting together be an issue. Whenever we can stay away from possible issues, that is a good thing in this business because then it cuts back on returns. You mentioned clothing before, and I think I mentioned this to your wife. The more opportunities there is for sizes and color variations and all that, the more opportunity there is for returns. A good example is at one point in this business, I was doing iPhone cell phone cases, right? When Amazon came out with the 6 and then they came out with a Plus, right? Now there's two different sizes. I started having issues. You know why?
People don't even know which one they have. They're buying the wrong one.
No, that is a good point. Or they weren't reading the whole thing. My marketing was so good that my Plus model was showing up for the regular model. They're buying it just thinking, well, it's coming up on the Amazon search, so it must meet my phone as a Plus or a regular. Guess what? We got killed in refunds.
Okay, that sucks.
Whenever you can eliminate that, or I should say minimize it, it's going to help be more profitable in this business.
So we're talking about minimizing risk during the product selection. That's awesome. So if you go back to, so I'll tell you the story. When I was doing this product like search years ago, when I was messing around with it, I got really engrossed in these water bottles that were like fruit infused water bottles, and it was like a big thing back then. And I know that last time I was talking about this, you threw the disclaimer with like, do not do water bottles. Like that is like a done space. But one of the things that really scared me about it was that it's like plastic that someone puts liquid in that they would drink. And I got really worried about like, how do I trust that it's not hazardous or risky? And then going back to the example I used of a baby pacifier, I mean, like that's even like scarier because there's like plastic there or silicone or whatever the heck that. Do you worry about that? Like, is that one more thing where you're like, I just don't want to deal with that risk of some kind of a health hazard?
That's a great question, first of all. There is definitely things that we can put in place to make sure that you're protected with those type of things, right? So if you are protected and you have your LLC and all those things set up correctly, then you don't have to worry about it as much. But if you have product opportunities that you're looking at, so I teach you to go through and make this list of things. So when you're trying to determine, hey, which one am I going to move forward with, and you can find ones that don't have those extra risks, then stay away from it. But if you have stuff that it looks like, wow, this is going to be a great opportunity, go with it. Just make sure you have those things in place.
Okay.
You want to make sure you have those protections of business in place.
Man, that's awesome. Thank you. By the way, again, onikpodcast.com for the show notes because before Dave went over all of the specific niches that he really does like, the categories that he does like. So we'll put those in the show notes so you can go grab that, combine it with this. And that's a lot of amazing goodies. I want to move forward. I don't want to move forward, and I do want to move forward. So let's go on to round number 5. We're going to talk about sourcing. All right, so we're back. Round 5, sourcing a product. This is an interesting part. You said earlier, we talked a lot about China, and then you said there's other places too. So here we go. Let's use an example. I got a product. I'm excited about it. It checks out with all the criteria. Now I got to find a way to get it over to Amazon. And so how do I go about it? Where would you go? What would you look for? Talk to us.
So you mean finding it first to find out where you can actually source it from?
Yeah,
right?
I want to find a source. I want to find where I can get it. Like
sure. One of the main places we use, especially when we're learning, teaching people how to start, we go to Alibaba.com. It's not where the majority of experts would go, but it's a great place to go to get started. And Alibaba offers, things where you can find manufacturers all across the world, right? You will find a great number of them are in China. All right, it's just what it is. They have a lot of manufacturer companies over there. They can do it cheap. And I don't want people to be scared when they say China, because we can always say, hey, you know what? I don't want junk. I want premium product, right? You're very specific when we're asking suppliers something, right? And so a lot of people are like, oh, China junk. Well, you can get junk if you want junk, but we don't want junk. We want premium products. So Alibaba.com is a great place to go. You can go in there and search for whatever you're looking for. And it really depends on the market, what you're looking for, right? If you're looking for mugs or everyday stuff, there's going to be a lot of stuff that's coming from China, which is okay. That's great. There are very specific parts of the world that had different things. Like I know that like India and Pakistan, for example, they're really good into like textiles, bamboo, for example. Right, bamboo clothing or bamboo, things for baby. It's very soft. It comes from that neck of the woods.
Make clothing out of bamboo?
Bamboo, yeah, bamboo clothing. It's actually, well, you're talking about babies before, so actually it's a very soft thing for babies. So, if you ever get into that area, you want to look into it. Baby clothing,
Do they
bamboo.
Make bamboo
I don't know the
pacifiers?
answer to that,
Okay.
But you never know.
I'll look it up, man.
But besides just doing Alibaba, just do a Google search. I mean, if you were the specific things you're looking for, you might want to, if you're in the United States and you want to have suppliers in the United States, we would do a Google search. You're looking for whatever it is that we're looking for, along with supplier or manufacturer or wholesaler, that sort of thing. If you're in the supplement niche, you're going to want to have things from the United States because you have all the FDA approval, all those different things. There's more hoops you have to go through and make sure it's done. And we always say that anything that's on the body, in the body, so on the body, like, and kind of skin stuff, anything you're putting inside the body, like supplements, or anything that's really pet related that they're also putting it in their body, you want to have it sourced in the United States.
So are U.S. suppliers on Alibaba?
They are. And you can actually sort based on that too. So you can actually go in there and say, I only want to be suppliers from the United States. Do realize that you are competing, like let's say these mugs, for example, you're going to be competing with China as well. They're always going to, at this time anyway, they'll be cheaper over there. Even bringing it overseas, it'll still end up being usually a lot cheaper. But there's going to be exceptions. And as tariffs are changing, I know this is probably a whole different line of conversation, but it could get to a point where then we can then be doing more stuff in the United States because the competitive niche, the price competitive is going to be more on the same level here moving forward. It could be anyway.
Okay. But right now it's still China's better. You had mentioned something in the last round. You had said landed price. We never got to it. I wanted to get to it now because I want to skip ahead real quick. When we go to Alibaba and you type in something, I've always been very impressed and shocked at how cheap they come out. Of course, you have to dig deeper and see quantities and all of that thing. But how do you estimate landed price? Before I even reach out to them and ask, do you have some formula? And what is landed price? What else? So they will say $1.20 per piece. What other costs can I immediately know will go above that $1.20?
They don't always include the packaging in there, right? So there'll be some added cost with that. Sometimes it's included, but we won't know these things until we actually start having conversations with them. So we're emailing or chat or WhatsApp, something like that. We're going to be asking these questions and we'll find out. And then, of course, it's going to be the shipping of that product, to where we need to go, which is going to be the United States. If we're staying within the lines I mentioned, the light and small, then we shouldn't be any more than $1 a piece. And again, that it varies, depending on the different size of things. But usually, I try to stay within $1. I say, hey, if it's going to be $4, I'm buying it. I can get it here for $5. Make sense?
So no percentages you apply. So 4 to 5 would be, hey, I'm allowing an additional 25%. Nothing like that.
Not really.
No? Okay.
No, it's gonna be. We do things more per piece.
Okay.
Than percentage.
Okay.
And it's gonna be product specific. It really will be. But again, if we're staying within those parameters, it's not going to be much different. There are times where I'm doing something that's a little more bulky that it could be over $2 a piece, but it's rare. And usually, again, we'll work that into the price. We can work it into the retail. But that landed price we talked about, I like to again keep it 3 to 5x somewhere in there to the selling price. So whatever the landed cost is, multiply it by 3 to 5 times, and that's what I want to be selling it at.
And that's because there are other costs, right? Once it reaches US, you have to then get it to Amazon, and then Amazon takes their share, and you want some marketing money as well. So that's why the 3 to 5x?
Yeah, Amazon's obviously, they're in the market here to make money, right? They're doing really well at it. There's going to be expenses for storage. There's going to be expenses that they're going to charge us per sale. So they take their fee for the sales that go through. And we're going to have advertising costs. We're going to have launch costs. All these different costs are going to be involved in this business that we have to add and factor that out, right? When we work those all in, if working on a 3 to 5x based on the landing costs, then we have those margins to be able to work out so we can get at least a net of 35%. A lot of times people in this business, they're not factoring all these things in there. And if they're, hey, this is pretty good. I can get it for $5 and sell it for 10. You're going to be out of business really fast, because you're not factoring all those different costs in there.
Makes perfect sense. God, I wish I invented Amazon, don't you?
Oh my gosh.
They got the sellers paying, they got the buyers paying, they got ads. I mean, they got everything. That's great. Okay, so Alibaba.com, let's go coffee mug. That's what I decided to sell, even though we've made it clear like that's not really a good product. But so I would go Alibaba.com, type it into the browser, type in coffee mug. And then a whole bunch of things spit out at me. I mean, I can already imagine there's probably thousands of suppliers of coffee mugs. How do I navigate to find, the core people I want to first talk to? What are the metrics you use? Is there particular standards, filters, anything you do?
Yeah, good question. And you got to realize, too, that sometimes we'll put a keyword in the Alibaba, and because of the language differences, it might be a little different as well. So we might say coffee mug, where they might say coffee cup. I'm just throwing it out there, but you have to go through sometimes and play around with the keywords because they might call it a little different. what I usually do in my search before we actually hit that search is I want to check a few things in Alibaba. They have things, I was actually just going through it yesterday. They're always changing things too, just like Amazon's always changing. They have this thing where there's a verified supplier check. All right, I want to do that because that's going to incorporate now a gold supplier, which basically just says that it's one of their better suppliers, been around for some time, and it'll actually, once it goes through the search, it'll show suppliers that have been around a little bit longer. We want to do ones that actually are a assessed suppliers, which basically means that someone has gone there and looked at the factory.
What's assessed?
Assessed. Someone
Assessed.
went
Assessed. Okay, got it.
Assessed, where someone has gone there and they were okay with the standards of China. One thing I want to make sure I'm never doing is I never want to be promoting. I would never want to be working with a company or manufacturer that's breaking child labor laws, for example. All right. I don't want to do that. I want to make this world a better place. I don't want to forward things that are happening that is negative, right? So there's things that I can check in Alibaba to make sure that that's happening. And also there's a trade assurance. When we're working with a new supplier, we don't know if they are trying to rip people off, or that they're a legitimate supplier. So you can do this trade assurance, where Alibaba is basically saying, you know what, we're Alibaba. We're going to stand back behind this supplier because we've worked with them for whatever so time. We assessed them, all this other stuff. And so I could feel more comfortable putting in place, an order with them. Plus, Alibaba will back us up in case something does happen. So different things we'll go through there. And I do, make sure that you do all those different things. You could back off on the assessed supplier if nothing comes up, but the other ones we definitely want to have a verified supplier and, make sure that it's recommended by Alibaba.
It's awesome. All right, so there's the checklist of things to look for. I guess the last piece really is just then you communicate with them to figure out who you just want to work with more.
And there's tons of ways of doing that too. When you find these different, you click on one of these suppliers, one of these manufacturers, you go through the page and it'll show different ways of contacting them. They'll have a contact button you can do right through email in Alibaba's system. They'll have sometimes a chat little window that can pop up. They'll sometimes provide their WhatsApp or WeChat or Skype or something like that. You're just going to have to keep notes of what all these different things are because, whatever their preferred way of doing it. And sometimes they actually will allow you to do your preferred way of doing it. But there's tons of different ways to contacting them. And, I like doing the one that is outside of email just because then you start moving quicker.
Any no-nos? Like if someone says something back or does something or doesn't do something, is there any major red flag? Like, boom, I'm out.
If they are not going to respond in a timely manner is a huge thing for me. Because if it takes 4 or 5 days for them to get back to me in the initial conversation, I'm trying to say, hey, I want to buy your product. I want to buy 1,000 pieces of whatever. And they're not responding back to me. Well, how long is it going to take for me to put an order through with them?
Same thing that happens when I'm looking for an outsourcer, like Upwork or whatever. I have a rule, 24 hours. If you don't get back to me in 24 hours during the sales cycle, then it's going to be a nightmare on the other side.
They're showing you what they're going to perform throughout. So, yeah.
All right. Well, man, that was powerful. Learned a lot. I actually did learn a lot, even though we have talked about this so many times. I didn't realize there was a specific checklist of things that you look for. Let's move right on to round number 6, I think we're in now. I want to talk about the brand assets that you mentioned. So let's talk about that. Sure. All right. Round number 6, brand assets. Things you need. It's like you found your product, you found where it's going to come from, but you need things now in order for it to come to fruition. Talk more about that.
Yeah, so one of the things you need to come up with is a brand name, right? I like to keep it where it is related to what we're selling, obviously. If we can keep it where there's a keyword that we're going after within that product line that we're going after, that would be more efficient because a lot of times Amazon says, hey, you know what? You need to have your brand name, for example, in your title, right? Well, and there's certain categories that actually they want it to be right in the beginning of the title. Now, I can get into the marketing side of things, but I'll tell you right now, the title is very important as far as where you're ranking. All right, it's one of the key factors. So ideally, I want my main keyword right in the front of the title, right? If they put my brand name right in front of the title and it's XYZ Corp, that no one's searching for XYZ Corp. Well, maybe they are for that one, but I'd rather have my keyword. So if I can, we were talking about baby pacifier, right? If I can have something with baby in it in my brand name, well, that's going to be beneficial to me when I'm putting that into the title. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So that's one of the assets we need to create is our brand name. And we want to make sure, obviously, that's not taken. There's ways that we go through and do some searches and see if things are trademarked or if there's other companies that already have that name, that sort of thing. We want to make sure the names are available because if they're not available, then we're going to have to change it later.
Perfect. So Do you have to get does the domain name have to be available? I hate searching domain names, man. Nothing's ever available.
Obviously, it'd be better if it is.
Okay.
But there's so many different extensions now. I know that in the internet marketing world, we would love to have a .com, but there's not as many .coms anymore. So if we can put, I don't even know, do they have a .product? I don't know. They have a .everything else, right?
Yeah.
But it's okay. I mean, it's not like we're selling these products right on Amazon.com, right? We're going to be building our brand outside of that, so it's not like we need to worry about SEO and Google search, for example, right? So it's not as important. The brand name being available to trademark is what's important.
So trademark searches we can do. It's very easy. Go to google.com, type in search trademark. The USPTO site comes up. It's pretty straightforward. So you had mentioned trademarks before. So you search a trademark. It doesn't exist, but you said we need a trademark. How expensive is that? Because I immediately think lawyer, and anytime you call a lawyer, it's like $5,000. So can we do this without a lawyer?
Yeah, so I usually use a lawyer. I use a trademark lawyer, and I would
But you're
recommend.
Dave Kettner. You've done $8 million in sales. How does someone who's not?
Well, let me
Dave
put it this
Kettner?
way: you can get this whole process done trademarked for usually for $900. That's with the lawyer doing it for you. So
Oh.
I believe when you go through the whole trademark process, if you do it manually yourself, I want to say it's $400 or $500, right? So if you're only paying the lawyer $400 or $500 more to do it for you and making sure it's done correctly, why not spend that money?
But you said we don't have to do it right off the bat.
You don't.
So you go ahead and get your brand, get the product, start selling it. If it's doing well, then trademark.
As soon as you have a brand that you know you're going to continue with, you have a name that you know you want, and you've seen the success on Amazon, it's happening for you, you want to make that happen right away.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else? You had said product packaging, even domain. Well, sorry, brand name, and then I guess logo, and product packaging. I'm gonna assume that you need that because you said it before. Where do you get these done? I'm not a designer.
Yeah,
I don't do it.
and I'm not either. I'm terrible at creating these things, right? So we actually utilize the internet to go out there and find these sites where there's experts that are great graphic designers, or
Upwork.
even Upwork is a great place to go. 99 Designs is another one. We can go to even Fiverr.com. I know, and people are like, well, wait a second, Fiverr is only those $5 options, right? Fiverr now is everything, right?
There's
So-
actually on Fiverr. There's nothing $5 anymore.
That's right.
That's the crazy part. Like it's everything but $5.
right. Used to be,
Still
but
love Fiverr. Hats off to you, Fiverr. But
it used to
just
be
saying.
a lot of junk in the beginning. Like you would never go get a logo made for $5. You get back what you pay for, right?
Yeah.
But no, there's plenty of options out there to make that happen. And what's awesome about this is these guys are the professionals in what they do. So we can communicate to them ideas of what we're looking for, and they can go back and forth, work with you and say, what do you think of this? Or you can sketch it out and say, hey, something like this, and they can create it for you.
Any other brand assets? Pictures. You had mentioned pictures before of your product because that's a big part of the Amazon listing. Do you just take your cell phone and take pictures when it gets home to you, or what do you do?
Yeah, so, again, crap in, crap out is what I like to say, all right? And so if you're going to take pictures with your iPhone, now, don't get me wrong, iPhone now quality pictures are really good. And when people are starting this business, if all you have is you get your own pictures, you got to do what you can do. When I first started, I bought some really nice lighting, and I went through and had just a white, pure background. I would take the pictures of the product, send it actually to Fiverr, make sure that for that very first product that they remove the background to make it sound pure white, so it's not like grayish. In fact, Amazon wants it on pure white. You can do that for $5. But whenever you can get a professional photographer to take the pictures for you, and we have different places we send it as well, it doesn't have to be that expensive. It could be anywhere, $75 to $100. They can get all your pictures made for you, and that can include some lifestyle shots of your product in action too.
Where do you find these photographers?
Again, same sites we already mentioned,
Upwork
same
and all.
places.
Okay.
And then as you get more into this business, you might want to put more money into your photography for your image, your product images, because it's the first thing that the customers see on Amazon. And you want to stand out. It's very important.
Really interesting. I didn't realize that you could get professional photography of products done for so little. And one thing I found, I wanted to get your feedback on Amazon now, they have these little kits, these little booths, product booths that create that infinite white background. They're like $50.
Yeah.
Is that good, bad? I mean, we bought one a long time ago to take pictures of my book.
Yeah, that's a way of doing it. But again, you have these, like I said, on Fiverr. You have people that if you go to on Fiverr.com and you do remove white background, you can do like 5 to 10 pictures and you can give it to them on whatever background, and they'll put it on pure white for you. So yeah, you can do that first. And so when I first started this business, I always say that I started very ghetto. I did. We were in a place that we had to make sure that we were being as efficient as possible because we didn't have as many funds. And so maybe the people who listen to this call, they might be in the same boat, right? I actually bought a piece of white construction paper, I think maybe 2 pieces. So I put the product down, took the picture I had a nice camera though. I had a Canon Rebel camera. But again, the iPhones nowadays can take a nice picture. You get those pictures, you give it to someone on Fiverr, and they can redo it and make it nice for you for $5. So if that's where you need to start there.
That is awesome. You did say, right, $500 to $1,000, someone can be in business, and now we're giving you, come on, this is awesome. You got to give Dave some love here. This is really awesome. Hey, if you're watching this on YouTube, by the way, do me a favor. Leave a comment below. Click the thumbs up. Hit subscribe. Do something. Show Dave some love, and leave a comment thanking him because this is tremendous content that we're getting. That's just actionable, meaty content. What other brand assets do we need? Anything major?
Not major. I mean, you need to obviously create your listing on Amazon. And so we talked about images being the first thing that attracts them, right? We talked about the title being, a keyword rich, that obviously we have to know to do some keyword research to be able to put the right keywords in there. If we go off the wrong keywords, it doesn't matter if we're getting traffic. We need sales, right? So I always say we need converting keyword traffic. We don't want browsing keyword traffic. We want converting, people that are actually buying. That's important, right? We also need to then convince those people that land on our page to buy our product. So what do we need? Sales copy.
Copy. I love copywriting.
Right? So
did that just come out? I just get very excited about copywriting.
And you were saying too, Lurn Nation has some of these great copywriting courses you can go through and very cheaply and learn how to write it yourself even.
Copywriting Academy.
Little plug.
Little plug, just a little bit. All right, awesome. Yes, it's funny because no matter what entrepreneur I talk to, no matter what kind of business model they're doing, copywriting always comes up.
Yeah,
it's a core skill needed for any business.
It's one of the I'm sorry for interrupting, but it's one of the biggest problems I see in sellers these days. They're so focused on getting more people to the listing, but their conversion is terrible, right? But they think, hey, the more people I can get to my listing, the more sales I'm gonna make. Okay, yeah, it's true, but if you make some changes in your copy and you start focusing, this is the key. If you guys want to write this down, this is very important. My wife is so good at this. She has taught this to our students, and the success rate has been incredible. Emotional buying trigger words. If you can put emotional buyer trigger words that are focused on the benefits, not the features, the benefits to the person. So the person is coming to a listing trying to find a solution to a problem, right? And then you have emotional buying trigger words around that, your conversion rate is going to explode.
What is an example of an emotional buying trigger word?
Okay, so I don't know if you want to go back to the baby pacifier that we were talking about before.
Sure.
Probably not, because I can't think of that's more coming from a mom. Well, okay, let's go there.
Yeah.
So it's coming from the baby's not saying, hey, this is the kind of thing I'm looking for, right? Maybe it's going to be for the mother. So what's something that could be a benefit? And this is us just brainstorming off the top of our heads here. Good. That's exactly a perfect one right there. A soothing pacifier, soothing to the child, and it's going to make the mother happy because the baby's not going to be fussing and crying, right? So soothing is a very good one, right? So something that is solving the problem, why do we give the baby the pacifier? Cranky, screaming, hungry.
To shut it up.
Okay. Not a parent yet, as you say there. But we want to be that's the benefit to the mother. It's a benefit to the child too, because now the baby is soothing. The baby could be teething, right? And that could be now just having something in their mouth is comforting to them. So comforting, soothing. Again, my wife is what's really good at this. The women, by the way, always, whenever I need some kind of emotional trigger, buying words around benefits, I go right to my wife. And I always say, go to your wives because they're all about the feelings. They're all about the emotions.
That's an interesting tip. I don't think I've ever had that one in copywriting, but I could see how that would be powerful.
It works.
Oh, okay.
I will write something, and I find myself to be a pretty good copywriter now, and then I'll give it to my wife, or I'll even put it to a few of our women's, people that we have in our group, and I'll say, hey, what do you guys think about this? And they'll come up with ideas. I'm like, hey, why don't you throw this? I'm like, wow, never thought of that. Because from a male perspective, we're very mechanical, where the women are very emotional, right? So, and usually the majority, and if you guys are males out there and you're shopping, I shop too, but the majority of people that are out there shopping are the women. So we want to write to them as well.
It's amazing. All right. Man, awesome. Very powerful stuff. I want to move on to the next round because we're going to talk about something really fun there, and that is launching the product and marketing it. So let's move on to round number 7. Round 7. All right. It was step 4 of the process. Launch, market. Yesterday, we were sitting down and you blew my mind. There are some really cool strategies for this. There's actually websites and things you can use to help you launch a product on Amazon. Talk to me a little bit about just what do you mean launch? What do we mean market? Give me the lay of the land and then we'll kind of dig in.
Yeah, sure. So, we actually have sites that are out there that are actually built by sellers, even Amazon sellers that, they said, hey, we need to get these products in front of customers. How can we better do it? Right, so there's sellers that have gone out there and created websites, created software, that sort of thing, that made our life easier. Okay, so when we put something on Amazon, it's not being seen. We have to do something to get it to be seen. So that's what you said launch. That's an important piece, right? We want to find ways to get it in front of customers and get them to buy. Now, if we don't have any reviews yet, we don't have any sales, it's kind of a difficult task, right? Because there's no social proof yet, no reviews. There's no BSR, there's no rankings. And Amazon doesn't say, what's this? So we have to be forceful with it. So we need to offer things at discounts. We need to, give it to buyers that are out there that are specifically looking for these products that they know they can get a great deal on it. And so they're willing to try something, at a great deal. Almost free even sometimes. Sometimes we give it, for free. So there's sites out there that we can put those on those sites that we can benefit from.
What are some of those sites? Like, where can I go? I've got to launch my pacifier, man. Let's do this.
All right. So one of our main sites right now, this is going to be you're asking me an important question. That's one of the big secrets here. I don't know if you want me. Oh, that's right. I did the oath.
You did the oath. You got to give it up. Come on.
All right.
Let's do this.
One of the big sites that we use right now is called Rebate Key.
Right. He's really getting into it.
Even if you were watching this podcast and you're not going to become an Amazon seller, well, I don't know why you wouldn't, but let's just say you don't want to follow what we're talking about.
You don't want to be where 50% of the world is.
You're going to want to go to rebatekey.com and as a buyer, and you're going to find some amazing deals. And what they do is you put these products up there and you buy the product on Amazon at full price. So you just click through, they say, here's the link, you buy it at full price. So let's say we're buying the baby pacifier, it's $10, and we buy it for $10, right? It ships to you, all that good stuff. After 35 days, so the refund period on Amazon is 30. They do this specifically so there's people not taking advantage of the system, right? So after the refund period's already over, you will get a check mailed out to you for whatever the deal was. So if it was 100% off, you get the check for what you paid for. So in this case, $10. Right, and you get the product.
Does it
you
come
get the money
from
back.
Rebate Key?
The check will come from Rebate Key. The product comes from Amazon.
So I can buy a lot of products on Rebate Key. And
you
get
can
one
do a
check.
lot of Christmas shopping on there, and it's gonna come back and be almost free.
Pause. Halt. This is kind of cool. Not even if you're a seller. I mean, you can use this as a launch strategy. But man, if you're just looking to pick up some cool products for free, go to rebatekey.com. I'm going there.
Yeah.
Are there cool products on there? I guess there would be.
There's a lot of cool products there, and there's sellers that know what they're doing, and so we can follow their. I go there to buy stuff just to see how people are marketing and different things like that too. So there's a lot of other things we can do with Rebate Key, But follow our link too, by the way, because we definitely want people to follow the link. I think we get them a special deal too as well. I'm not positive on that, but
all right. Show notes, anikpodcast.com. All of this is in there. So as a seller, my point. And the reason I want to do this and give away things for free, because I'm going to lose a little bit of money, obviously, right? Because I have to cover the cost of the product.
Yeah.
Is because, and I think the understood agreement is like, hey, man, go leave a review, get purchase activity going, get that, because Amazon still thinks it's a full sale. Amazon still sees a full sale. They don't see the rebate. So
we're going to get into a lot more complicated information here.
Okay.
But this is important to know because you said something that was key right there. You said full price buy, right? On Amazon they're able to see, obviously, if something is coming at a discount with a discount code or there's no discounts involved at all, right? So they can see if you're giving a code that's 100% off. They're not going to give as much value to that because they know that you're using this for marketing purposes, right? But in this regard, it's a full price buy to them. It's going to be more clout on Amazon, more power for that one sale than if you did it with a discount code. Very key. Very important, that's why I said the strategy is kind of very, ninja secret.
Ninja, Jedi.
Yeah. So
We've
want to
officially given away too much.
Yeah,
on the
it's
podcast.
been a lot there. The whole benefit of that full purchase buy is very important. There's a lot of people that, and another site that I'll tell you about here in a second, that we do use discount codes because we want to have mix and vary it, right? Because Amazon, if we're not doing any discount codes, they're gonna know that we're still doing something that we're not supposed to, right? Because you can't really launch something without giving discount codes, because unless you have a full, it's a whole again.
So just
Can of
real quick,
worms there, but
rebate key is not like, it's not against terms
oh
of
no
service
no,
or illegal.
it's a
Okay.
manufacturer's rebate,
Okay.
which is good marketing.
Okay.
I'm sure there's people that are watching this that especially around Christmas time, you see like $50, after $50 manufacturer's rebate, right? That's what is good marketing out there. So no, it's totally within TOS. There's nothing that I teach or that we do that is anything close to breaching the terms of service of Amazon. The last thing I ever want to do is lose our account, or anyone that's watching this should, never. It's not worth it, Anik, to ever do things that could sacrifice your livelihood.
I agree.
Okay, very important.
Absolutely.
So-
Can we take a step back though, real quick, beyond just rebate key? So when I'm launching a product on Amazon, if I don't have an email list, if this is my first product ever, obviously build it and they will come does not apply on Amazon. So I've got to get something. I got to spark sales. What is its sales is obviously going to be a factor Amazon is using to give you rankings and get you up are reviews, or what else is there? Or is it just that?
There is their algorithm is we call it short for A9 algorithm on Amazon, which at the time that we're recording this, that's the current one. We do not know specifically what it is. We do know that a bunch of sellers, we can see what affects different things. So we definitely know that sales count, obviously. All right. The full price sales over discount sales, like I said before, is more important. We know that. We do know that reviews make a difference. Usually it's the reviews, not the amount of reviews you have, but the amount of reviews that are coming in over like the last 30 days is kind of what we see. It could be 90. It does vary. And again, as you're watching this, it's changed, right? There's a lot of different factors in that A9 algorithm. But sales, reviews not so much as important. But there are, it varies, but it is more definitely focused on recent reviews than existing reviews. But with that said, though, we have to talk about the customer, right? So the customer, if I have a brand new product that has 2 reviews and you have a product that has 1,000 reviews at the same star rating, who cares what the algorithm says? The customer, right, is going to say, oh, this guy's been, they have a lot more positive feedback there. I do the same thing when looking for vacations or whatever, right? So, yeah, you got to factor that in.
I mean, I do it for everything. What about, so as I list it, you mentioned it lightly, you got to have the right title, the right description, because that must be also playing into A9? Just the keywords in your listing?
It does. The keyword is actually where they're putting the listing.
Okay.
All right, so front of the title, I'm sure you've heard this since we've been doing internet marketing early and often, right? Same thing with Amazon. Early in the title is going to be more important than later in the title. If Amazon is basically saying if they're putting those keywords up front, there's a reason why they're putting them there and not further into that title, right? So they give more factor to those
SEO rules.
Yeah, definitely.
Essentially.
Yeah, really,
apply.
that's what it comes to.
That's amazing. All right. I can't let you off the hook. You said this. You snuck it in. There's another website that
sure.
you use. Yeah. So
Okay.
what is that?
So another site that we use that then has discount coupons. Again, if you go to this site, you're going to find some good deals. Not the 100% off, but there could be 90, 75% off. Vipon.com. Vipon.com. Vipon. We utilize that to get some discount sales going through with
So
discount
cool.
codes.
My Christmas shopping this year is going to be next to nothing. Jimmy's excited. You just bought something.
I just looked up. You can get 2 lobs for free.
That's what I just bought.
These guys, the video guys are in here doing shopping here as we're talking. So see that? Yeah.
So our producer of the podcast
Yeah.
is sitting there looking things up, and then Jimmy, who's always here for all of my podcast recordings, he's buying stuff. So look at that,
Hey.
man. You said you want to make a positive impact in the
It
world.
was happening
Dave.
already.
You just saved Jimmy a bunch
That's
of
right.
money.
I should put my shopping list out so they can start buying us stuff.
Absolutely.
Too, so.
That's
But
so awesome.
one
All right,
thing
Vipon.
we didn't talk about though, which is important part of this too, as far as this part of the was it step 4? I think we talked market and launch.
Yeah.
We want to get those sponsored ads going. We want to get PPC, paid search, going in, so we can pay to have our listings shown up at the very top of the search engines. and that will actually get more customers seeing our product right away. And so that's all part of our launch process.
Straight inside Amazon system, right? Not Google and all of that.
We do that too.
Okay.
Specifically right now I'm talking about Amazon. Yeah, but we definitely do external ads outside of Amazon that will help, and Amazon loves it when we have external traffic. So just having a little bit of Google ads, for example, or Bing ads, it's going to make a big difference.
So we talked about Vipon, which was, so I just want to go back real quick before we get to Amazon ads. Vipon, we talked about, was basically a place to get discount sales. So as a seller, you go there, you list your product, you give a coupon code, and then people come in. It gets purchase activity going, reviews come in, just blood coming into the product. And last but not least, of course, turn on those Amazon ads, and there's a whole nother world. But I will say this, for those of you watching, I've done Facebook ads, I've done Google ads, I've done all kinds of ads, I've done YouTube ads, and those platforms require training and education. Amazon ads was simple. I mean, not saying you don't need training or education. I think you always need that, but I did it for my book. I haven't done it for a physical product. I guess my book is a physical product. I did it for the book. It was pretty straightforward. It wasn't that tricky and very effective. I mean, they're not as expensive as the other ad platforms, and I love how they just track your ROI, so you know how much you've sold. So how much, if I'm starting a brand new product and I'm going to go do all these things like Rebate Key, Vipon, how much ad budget do you think I would want to have?
That's a good question. I usually factor that into when we're putting together trying to find opportunities, right? I will usually that's where the percentage comes in. I'll put an extra 10% of my cost that's going to be focused on that. All right, so when I teach this, actually, I have a whole spreadsheet that we actually factor kind of that into our net percent, so we know what our costs are going to be. Now, I will say this, that when you're launching up front, it's going to be more expensive than at any time in the process, right? You have to get that ball rolling first. And so the ball rolling is getting it up that hill.
Any budget you recommend for a brand new product?
So if we're talking, I don't think you're going to double what you're paying for. You're not going to, if anything, you're going to match or be less than what you're doing for inventory cost. So let's say if you're doing $1,000 for inventory costs, you should be able to be within that $1,000 for launch costs.
Okay.
All right.
That's very good to know.
That would be on the high side. In the markets that I'm teaching, if you are coming in on, again, you come in with those supplements, you're looking at a nice price tag. I mean, there's certain markets. I know people that will put away $30,000 to $40,000 to do a launch.
A launch.
Okay. These are marketers that have been doing this for some time. They know what they're doing. They can go after these big markets, right? Obviously, that's not the case that we're teaching here, because there's opportunities that I can show people how to do this at a much less expensive way to get started.
Powerful stuff. Man, I've got to take one more moment here. So one of the things that we've not been doing on all of these rounds is at the end of the round, I always say, hey, you win this round. Yeah. That was awesome. I've only had one other guest that had a TKO. That was like a knockout.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, you had one earlier, but I still wanted to keep going, so I didn't call it. But this has been a knockout session, man. You have just given away some powerful resources. So thank you, Dave.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You got people we had 2 people here watching us live, and both of them are buying stuff and taking action on it. Yeah. So how powerful is that?
I'm glad it's a TKO and not a KO, because otherwise you'd still be on the ground there, right? So, and he doesn't have any black and blues,
yes.
So that's good.
All right. So listen, if you're watching this, go to anikpodcast.com, because we've shared a lot of amazing resources and URLs, and go get your show notes. Tell other people about this episode. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave us a comment, say something, hit the bell, subscribe. I don't know what you're supposed to do on YouTube. Just do it. All right. And if you're on iTunes, do me a favor. If Dave has been so awesome, go leave me a review on iTunes and subscribe, because we brought this to you. Powerful stuff. Let's move into the next round. We're in round number 8, and I want to talk about scaling and repeat. And we're back. Round number 8. We're going to talk about scaling. So everything is good. Rainbows are out. My product is up. I used all these awesome resources to get some sales coming in, and things are going. Now I want the big bucks, Dave. Like, I got to quit my job. I want to do this full time. What do I do? How do I scale?
So I'm going to be responsible for you quitting the Lurn. So, I don't know about that.
My house and list Amazon products, man.
The easiest way to scale this business is just rinse and repeat. Really, okay. Once you know how to do this successfully with one product, it's a matter of doing it over and over. And the scalability is limiting on yourself, your time to put into it, and the amount of money that you have to keep making sure that things can keep rolling.
How many products have you sold now individually on?
So I'm not. So if I've done so many different variations, and so those are all kind of SKUs. So I know that there's been a few hundred that we've done.
Few hundred.
A few hundred, but
how many are you selling right now?
that's a good question too. So again, are we talking about all the variations?
Sure.
I don't know specifically, to be honest with you, and I'll tell you.
Rough range.
I don't know.
10, 20, 30,
okay,
50,
so
100?
Okay, how about this? The products that are doing well.
Yeah.
Right now, we probably only have around 20 solid products. Okay.
Right, but you say only 20.
20 products, and that doesn't even count all the different variations.
But I want everyone to take away that you said only 20. Like, that's the scale here.
Oh,
you
true.
know, like, you are doing 20 right now, and you
Right.
said only 20 means that you probably could be doing a lot more if you chose. Is there a limit? Like, how many could you be doing?
There's no limit.
Okay.
I know people that put together some major businesses where they have 30, 50 people working for them, and they started, as someone is watching this right now, as just themselves, maybe their wives, right, or maybe their husband, whatever. They get started, and then this thing starts ramping up, and they need to put some people in there. You need to start with some outsourcers. You need to maybe have in-house. You maybe want to have your own warehouse. I mean, there's some people that have grown some major businesses. I know actually mastermind with a few people right now that are doing between 20 and 30 million a year in their business on Amazon. That's not even scaling off of Amazon. So you mentioned scaling. That's the first way to do it, right? Would be to rinse and repeat. And again, it's your only limitation is your time, your income, your finances. Because one of the biggest mistakes I find too, that I see all the time, that people are trying to do, oh wow, there's all these opportunities now. Let me come out with 10. Well, you might not have the finances that keep up with 10 growing, right? So that I call some of those people shooting stars, because then all of a sudden they're like, I can't do it anymore. So if you got to have a game plan. But that's one way, rinse and repeat. Scaling it could be international scaling. You get something working on .com, you can scale to the UK, you can scale to Japan. There's going to be a lot more time
Amazon
involved.
and all these
Exactly.
countries. How many of them are there?
Wow, I think there's over 20, 26, 28 now. It's always growing. I don't know the answer to that.
Have you done international?
So I have, and I've actually pulled out of the UK, of the Europe, is because I can't do this, teach, and do everything at the same time. So I pulled back to focus more in the US and then do more in the US. So that's another way to scale. We can do retail. We can go out and do other platforms besides Amazon. Even though Amazon's 50% of the game, there's another 50% out there, right?
What are some other platforms?
Walmart is a good example. Okay, Walmart is a good one. eBay. eBay, people are like, oh, eBay is so old news. When you start factoring in what eBay is doing all across the world, there's a lot there as well.
What about Jet.com?
Jet.com is another
Is that
one.
same as Walmart now?
It's part of Walmart. That's correct. Yeah, so there's up and coming other companies that are trying to do what Amazon has done, right? You laugh, but you never know. You never know as we're watching this, when that can change or another one's going to take over, right?
That was like an instinct reaction. I couldn't help it. It's like, I don't know now.
But once you have the product already working, you have a product that is going to sell well. You already have all the copy, all the images, and everything else. It's a matter of just putting it on other platforms to start getting more sales for what you're doing on different platforms, right? So that's just another way to scale. There's a bunch of reasons. There's a bunch of ways of doing it there.
And then what about? I might be being more simplistic, but just raise your ads, do more ads on Amazon ads. If that's working, does that usually work?
So there is a point where it is more efficient or more effective to say, okay, you know what? I've done enough with this product. Let me move on to the second product.
How do you know that point?
It comes with time. Okay. It really does. You start getting a feel for it. A lot of times you can look at your competition, right? You can see when we get started, we have an idea exactly what the companies out there that are selling what they're doing. And a lot of times we'll go above it, right? But we kind of know what that level is when we first start. And if we go above it, great. But once we start getting close to that or go above it, say, okay, we're probably getting as much as we can from this business. It'd be more effective for our time, more effective for our resources to then come with something that is in that line of products or come up with a new line of products.
Man, that is so powerful. I don't even know where to go. We've had such an amazing session. We're going to move into round number 9 because we're going to talk to, I think everybody watching right now wants more Dave Kettner in their life right now, I can promise you. So we're going to find out how to do that. All right?
Let's do it.
All right, round number 9. Dave, people want to learn more from you, want to know more from you. I mean, this is what you gave on an hour or so free freaking podcast. I can only imagine. So I know that we have the lurn.com/physical. Just to explain to everybody, you'll get so much more amazing content. There's actually a whole boot camp that Dave filmed right in this room, actually, in this studio, that you can grab that will show you how to get it. You got to go to lurn.com/physical. We'll tell you exactly how to get it. Then there's an amazing workshop we're doing. And then, of course, there is an amazing course at the end of that called Physical Profits that only for those who are, who go through this and say, hey, I really want to do this model. But how can people, are you active on social media? Do you have your own personal website? Where can people get more Dave Kettner?
So good question. There's a few assets I have out there. I have my own YouTube channel. I post things on there all the time, some different pointers or whatever. I believe if you search for Dave Kettner, it might be a YouTube. .com/Dave Kettner or something like that. Right. I do a lot of stuff on Facebook. So if they search for Dave Kettner, they can find my Facebook public profile and is my author site, or I'm putting stuff there all the time.
Let's spell your name for everybody,
sure.
The last name. So
it's
Dave is D-A-V-E.
Dave is easy, right?
Yeah, Kettner.
Kettner.
Sweet.
Yep. So I'm actually building that out to help people and put stuff out there as well. I have my own coaching, different platforms we do. I don't know if you want me to mention that one.
Dude, tell anything that they can get you.
I have a site out there called AMZandBeyond.com. So spelled out ANDBeyond.com. It is my business partner and I, Norman Farrar, and I, we created this site to actually help. It's a lot of things where we're actually helping Amazon sellers that are looking to take their business to the next level. So it's
Norman,
more of a...
If you're watching, man, I had to say this. I got a wicked beard. Seriously.
And he is known as the beard guy.
The beard guy.
He's branded that, and that's, yes, he's the beard guy.
I want to get the URL again because I got confused. AMZ Beyond or AMZ Beyond?
And Beyond. So AMZandBeyond.com. Yeah, that's our site there. So that is a place. So if you are an Amazon seller, or once you get to that point and you want to actually take things to the next level, that's where we do public. Basically, we actually do group mentoring and coaching, and it's really, we've seen some amazing things happen with our students, and then we can just help expand their business. Because I'll tell you what, when you're doing this business, Anik, it gets very lonely. You need to be out there keeping up with the times, keeping up with the things that are changing, and this world is ever changing, right? So you need to be masterminding, and you need to be mentoring and coaching with somebody. And so if the people are enjoying this, we'd love to have them eventually as part of that.
It is so true. And that is why we built Lurn, the home for entrepreneurs, because that is what we need to be doing. So powerful. Well, I've got one more round, Dave, and then I'll let you go. And that is going to be our finale, our fire round. So I think we're up to 10. Round number 10. Dave, round 10. Ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Number 1, Iron Man or Hulk?
Iron Man or Hulk? I would say Iron Man, because it's something that I can actually do. So I can create the suit where I can't create the Hulk.
Right.
So yeah, I'd take the Iron Man.
Right answer. All right. Number 2, red or blue?
Blue.
Number 3, favorite book of all time?
Wow, favorite book of all time. I would have to say, Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah, mine as well. How many hours a week do you think you spend on your Amazon business?
So I'm embarrassed to say it's so little, especially this week. I'm not doing really more than 10 hours a week right now in our business.
That's crazy.
It's because I'm doing so much of the coaching, mentoring, and we have a lot of stuff outsourced now too.
It's a good thing. How many different products do you have right now, roughly? I had asked you already. We said 20 that are sizable, that are doing something of instrument. So I answered your fire round for you. So yeah, pay attention.
Yep.
If you could talk to yourself 10 years ago, what advice would you give yourself?
10 years ago? Well, I would have bought Amazon stock. Right?
Yes.
Amazon stock 10 years ago was super cheap. They were losing money. And now it's $15,000, $2,000, something like that.
How long ago did Amazon start?
I want to say 2000, 1999, something around there.
So
and
unfair to say I would have started Amazon. That was 20
started
years
Amazon, but 10 years ago you said.
Yeah.
So the first thing I would have bought is stock. The second thing I would have done is that I would have put more into this business, because back then it was so much easier to get things happening. Great. And then I would have sold. I would have sold multiple businesses.
Awesome.
And I'd be on the beach.
And a lot of people are doing that, by the way. That's one thing that I talked to Dave about as well. We didn't even talk about during the scale side, is a lot of people are building this up and then they get to a point and they sell it. So there's a lot of M&A activity happening in that world also. Last but not least.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You could do that over and over again too. We have people that are in our coaching group that's their model. They build it, they sell it, and they have other ones that are building and selling it as they go through. Yeah, so that's a great model right there.
Powerful.
Yeah.
It's like real estate, right? You can either hold and profit or build and sell.
See, the thing is, once you know how to do this, you own it here. right? Once you have that, you're the asset.
Yeah.
You can go through and create anything after that.
The most important question of the entire rapid fire round. Are you excited to be getting published on Lurn?
Oh my gosh. This has been such a blessing, Anik. I can't tell you. I say every day, I'm actually, one of the prayers I always say is that thank God for Anik and everything you've created here, because I am now a part of it with you, and I'm so excited. My wife and I are just very blessed to be a part of this.
Man, thank you. And honestly, same goes back to you. We're really blessed to have you on here. Love working with you. Thank you so much for being on this podcast. You killed it. All right, everybody, if you're watching, listen, anikpodcast.com to get your show notes. Go now. This has been a powerful episode. We've got so much more coming. If you want to learn more from Dave and you want to talk about physical products, building an Amazon business, get over to lurn.com/physical. We'll have tons more free training, tons more resources for you there. It's not just about buying the course at the end of it. Really, you will learn a lot in the free material as well. So go there, get serious. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast at iTunes. And if you're watching this on YouTube, leave a comment below, click the thumbs up, click the bell, whatever you got to do, click subscribe so we can get out more amazing episodes to you. And with that said, I'm going to close up for the day here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And always remember, when life pushes you, stand straight, smile, and push it the heck back. This is Anik. See you next time.
Thanks for listening to The Fighting Entrepreneur with your host, Anik Singal.